Tonight, the stars of the premier sim racing Outlap Motorsports Truck Series tackle yet another super speedway. Welcome into Echopark Speedway, formerly known as the Atlanta Motor Speedway, here on Green Flag TV, and welcome into tonight's coverage of the premier sim racing Outlap Motorsports Truck Series. I am Derrick Watson. Kate Corbin will be joining me shortly in the booth, and we will get this broadcast started. Of course, Dustin Ollis pushing the buttons, making us look and sound good down in the production truck. Well, here we are at this track tonight of Echopark. We continue our journey through this season of the Outlap Motorsports Truck Series, and we can take a look at the schedule. Some of it's still a mystery while we wait for the official iRacing calendar for Season 2. But right now we know next week we're going to Long Beach. And of course, last week we were at Daytona, where Jacob Dunn won in that race. Of course, then we'll go Long Beach, Phoenix, and Darlington. That'll take us to the middle of March. We know that Rockingham and Bristol are on the schedule in the month of April, and we'll find out the rest as we go along. Speaking of Jacob Dunn, if we take a look at the points, we see, of course, after last week, he is your points leader. After winning, Dunn, Evans, Elliott White, your top 3, and then Bradley Holly and Mark Kalin, 4th and 5th. And then Barney, Baker, Lowendick, Loving, and Reese Bogue are your top 10. Well, let's get loaded in here and get ready to go at Echopark. Before we do, we need to thank a couple sponsors here on the broadcast, starting with Outlap Motorsports. You know, Outlap Motorsports is more than just a hobby. It's therapy. They know the garage, the paddock, and even that driver's seat is a safe space. That's why Outlap proudly supports men's mental health and encourages drivers to check in with themselves and each other. Because what happens off the track matters just as much as what happens on the track. Outlap Motorsports. Also want to thank Profit Python. Oh no, we'll do Profit Python after the grill. We'll do it now. What the heck? Every second counts on the track and in the world of deals. That's the edge Profit Python delivers. It's the ultimate Discord for deal hunters and side hustlers with lightning fast alerts, price drops, secret sales, and even hidden jackpots. Before the rest of the world catches on, you can find out. Profit Python. Strike fast, profit faster. We'll go through more of our sponsors and thank them as the broadcast moves on. And again, thank you to Outlap and Profit Python and everyone who helps make this broadcast possible here on Green Flag TV. Well, qualifying is just about wrapped up, about 20 seconds left here. I think everyone's pretty much off the track here. We've done qualifying, we've done the driver's meeting. We'll talk about the notes from the driver's meeting in just a moment, but you're seeing some beautiful shots up above this historic speedway, a track that's changed layouts multiple times, and of course currently is repaved and configured for more of this quasi super speedway style drafting package. All right, well, let's get started in here and we'll get our grid started in just a moment here. We'll see who's on the pole for tonight's race here at Atlanta. Starting with the P1 spot, you'll find Steve Baker in the 2 cars next to Brett Adams over in the 23. P3, you'll find Blaine Adams. So there's an Adams on the first 2 rows there with Jeff Evans, that very bright, colorful number 51 back there in P4. Bradley Holly's back in P5, a different look for Brad this week in the 184. And he's next to Steve Loving in that Microsoft Windows Where Do You Want to Go machine. P7, you'll find Evan Williams. And he's next to James Morgan in the 12 in the black and red. Up in P9, you'll find Robert Barney in the 26 next to the 28 of Zachary Burnt in that old Tropicana truck. Moving back to the field in P11, you'll find Mike Richter. He's making his return to PSR. His truck is labeled the 82. He'll be the 15 on the timing tower. Elliott White is in the 10 truck in P12 here this evening. Doyle Lawrence in the 88, that black and green with the beautiful look there on that truck, is next to the 60 of Colton Lane with the yellow logo on the hood. Matt Gagnon is in the 14 in the Outlap truck. He'll be next to for the 42 of Mike Toomer Jr. Mike had a great run last week. P17, you'll find Matt Scherf in the 43. A new look for Matt this week in the blue and orange. He's next to the 1 of Jamie Graham. Moving back into P19, you'll find Zach Williams in the 89 truck next to the 171 of Nicholas Schwartz. Moving back to the field halfway through, Jacob Dunn, last week's winner in the 3, is next to the 99 of Brandon Walter. P23, you'll find Brian Tope in the 54. He's next to the 15 of Nick Byers, who's going to be the 115 in the timing tower. Nicholas Acosta in the 816 is next to the 25 of Nicholas Cadena. And all Nicholas row back there in 13. Tyler Manning in the 45 is next to the 71 of Stacy Hunter. Daniel Knight is part of Outcast Racing in the 17. He's next to the 94 of Alex Vijont. Ted Lowendick is over there in the Nerds Gummy Cluster car in the 13. He's next to Brett Pancari in the 35. These are drivers that did not take a time at this point back, by the way. Mark Kalin in the 62 is next to the 4 of Reese Bogue. 35th is Dustin Bumgarner next to Justin Rodden, who has an end-of-line penalty this week. Thomas Sink in the 48 will be next to the 65 of Duino, who's also serving an end-of-line. Willie Brennan in the 8 is next to Nick Hunter, also on the do not qualify list. And that is it. That is our 40 truck field. That's a look top to bottom at tonight's starting grid, presented by Profit Python. Well, here we go. Trucks are on the back straight and around. We're ready to go. So a couple things of note from race control for this evening. Of course, that pit entrance over there behind you in turn 3, that is the proper pit entrance. You cannot pit after those white lines on the bottom. But also this red line, it is out of bounds. And race control has promised they will enforce that out of bounds. So keep in mind for that. And I'm sure the drivers will keep it in mind as well. Hope you're excited as we are, because it's Steve Baker and Brett Adams up on the front row. The pace truck's about to make his way down pit road. And we'll get ready here. We'll let him pull down. And that Soul Peck truck, actually, we're going to go one more time around. They're going to fake me out here. And they're going to do that. You know who else we can thank while we're here? Unfortunately, I don't have any photos ready. Maybe we'll do that later. We can go ahead and thank Mr. Hedge while we're here. Mr. Hedge is an incredible sponsor of Premier Sim Racing. You know, Mr. Hedge says that sim racing is full of unforgettable moments, and Mr. Hedge can help you capture them all. From first wins to fresh liveries, even those crashes you'll never forget, Mr. Hedge can turn virtual racing into memories worth sharing. They're clean, they're sharp, and they're made for sim racers. Visit mrhedge.co.uk to get your best moments in focus. Right now, these drivers, all 40, are trying to focus in here. This is a tight racetrack. It may race like a super speedway, but there's not as much space. It's a little more chaotic, a little bit more problematic if the caution does come out here in Echopark. Derrick Watson the call. Kate Corbin will be here momentarily. He'll join in and help us with the commentary tonight. But happy you're along for the ride. This time, by to see what happens. Lights in the pace truck are out. And eventually he'll make that left-hand turn and we'll get this race started. 75 minutes on the clock. It's a timed race. It's not a lapped race. And we'll see who can come out the victor here at Echopark. Can Jacob Dunn do it again? Or will we find a second winner in 2 races in this season of Premier Sim Racing? The truck is down. The field is ready. Barney the flagman is ready. He'll wave that green flag in just a moment, and we'll go green flag racing at Echopark. As we complete lap number 1, Steve Baker is up in the lead, and there he's got a nice hornet's nest behind him. See Adams back there. Evans has moved to the bottom. Steve Loving has moved up. Blaine Adams is down a couple spots. He's that third car in line on the bottom, and it's side by side out of 2 between Baker and Adams through the corner. Heading into the third corner. Now Adams pulls down in the front, brought Steve Loving on, brought James Morgan up in the 12, along with the Tropicana truck as Zachary Burns up there. So some new names up front quickly here at Echopark. Now new leader for lap 2. It is going to be Brett Adams up to the front here. And we will keep moving around at this track. On board with Ted Lowendick with that Nerds Gummy cluster on the truck with the big afro wig. He's currently riding back in 33rd. And look how much this wild this looks back here. This truck's as far as the eye can see. On board now with Matt. Oh, Matt showing off the arms tonight here. Got the ski goggles in. Got the cutoff t-shirt. Matt, of course, raced last week and went off and raced in the eNASCAR College Series last week. So had to take an abrupt exit. Performed a start and park, as we call it, to get double points last week at Daytona. But Matt's locked into that. Those ski goggles, he bragged about those in the chat in YouTube Friday night on the iRacing channel during the Daytona 500 as he got bumped. And look at those arms. He's trying to save it. Does not save it. Cautions out. I saw Gagnon, Reese Bogue, and more involved. Nicholas Acosta, I believe, might be involved in this first wreck. 3 minutes in. Wow, just a wild bump from behind. Saw it live here on the camera shots, both from the in-sim camera and from Matt's webcam of just how that felt. Watch from behind here. This will be too far back to me from Acosta's point of view. And Acosta's just got a penalty. That's what I saw on the screen. He just went down pit road to avoid it. That's a great avoidance by Nicholas Acosta. Boy, that bump from the back end of Gagnon is too aggressive in the corner and sent that truck around. Here comes the hit, going to be from the 43 of Scherf. It's run to check up ahead. Look, you saw Doyle Lawrence was checked up and many more. So that's what caused it, and then which everyone's kind of missed the memo. You see a few trucks coming down pit road here. We'll document those in just a moment here. Daniel Knight, Stacy Hunter's down, Brett Pancari, Mark Kalin we saw down pit road there. So a few drivers down pit road probably need to get some damage fixed here pretty early. Let's watch the onboard here with Matt Scherf. Let's watch how aggressively this checkup happens here. I mean, Matt's just doing his thing, and then next thing he knows, there's a truck in his front seat, basically. And then on for the ride is Scherf here, and oh boy, it's a couple late hits, but I think all things considered, I think so far, not that much damage. There is the 14 of Matt Gagnon on pit road. There's the 43 of Matt Scherf. Well, let's do this. While we're trying to fill some time out of the caution here, let's just ask someone what happened. Let's do it live. Is Matthew Gagnon available in Discord? He is. So we're going to go and pull him into the waiting room, and then we'll bring him right up into the broadcast booth as Matt Gagnon. Matt, a wild ride here early in the race. What's your perspective of what happened?
That bottom line did not want to go, and it kind of put me in a weird, awkward sandwich there, Derrick. It was not a fun experience, but you know, we've overcome adversity before. Just a little bit of damage, tis but a scratch, and hopefully we can end up getting a good finish for the Outlap Toyota Tundra.
Is it a little early in the year for the tank top?
Man, you don't know how hot it is up here. You know, heat rises. I swear to God, it's like 80 degrees up here.
Fair enough. All right, buddy. Well, I'll let you get back to it. Good luck the rest of the race.
Thank you, Derrick.
That is Matt Gagnon, driver of the 14 Outlap Motorsports truck series. He mentioned the heat. Not that much heat in the track. It is currently, about 5:41 p.m. virtual sim time, and only about 72 degrees of heat in the track. So while it might be hot in Matt's room, it is not hot on this track currently. By the way, cautions do happen fast here. The laps tick by pretty quick under yellow, so we're already back ready to go green flag racing at the end of this lap. The pace truck will pull down. It'll be Loving, Morgan's up front, by the way. Adams, Burnt, and Baker, your top five. So in a moment, the pace truck will pull down. We'll be in the restart zone, and it'll be in the hands of Steve Loving in that Microsoft Windows machine. Happy along for the ride. Let's get this race started back up. See if we can get green flag racing for a while. Here's Barney Flagman. Watch for the green flag and watch for the engines to kick up as we're back to racing. On now through the race goes the truck. You see Reese Bowe coming off of pit road. He pitted late here, and there's some questions about the penalty he has to serve. He's gotten to race control about that. We'll see if that does get fixed, but out here across the race here, see everyone just kind of swarming around. Lots of trucks, 40 trucks on the track, and that's why we're 3 wide, because there's a lack of space here available. Riding on through up front, it is still a battle between James Morgan and Steve Loving. Side by side, down the back straight. Looks like that top lane has a bit of a run here, but not blinking. And Morgan's just about to take the lead. Can Morgan make it 2 for 2 for that Tabita Rossi Esports team? We're about an hour and 7 minutes from finding out. Side by side. Here comes Loving back up through in 27. And they're trying to get the run here, trying to see if they can make that bottom lane work. That's Loving on the bottom, getting a bit of air push here. The difference between here and Daytona, the bumps aren't as successful. There's not as much space to bump here. You see Adams there in the 23 behind Loving. Through the dog leg and through the corners, you really can't bump like you can at Daytona here. So you get one shot at it down the back straight, and they will try and make it work as much as they can. Here's Bradley Holly, by the way, on board with that webcam. A lighter look in the room this week, matching the paint scheme on that truck. And Brad looks very focused in, very locked in. Of course, has the webcam on top of his head. And we're going to look in just a moment at that webcam as he's racing around the 15, which is the 115 tonight on board. There's Brad's view of his monitor. Got his monitor up ahead of him. It's got telemetry up on the top left and a track map up on the top right here. So, see Brad's full racing rig setup. And Brad, of course, chief steward for Premier Sim Racing, so he gets to spend time post every race every week, going through all the wrecks, assigning penalties, and figuring out what the appropriate actions are. But the actions happen right now is Steve Loving. He's moved up ahead, barely, and James Morgan, who leads at the line. Oh boy, that's close, but I believe it is Morgan by about nothing. It's almost a dead heat at the line. Acosta sets the fastest lap, by the way, at 30.708. This Nicholas Acosta in 8:12, just like Daytona. Sometimes it's the trucks in the back of the draft that get the fastest run here. So we'll keep moving on. It's the 12 of Morgan. It's the 27 of Loving. For the moment, they're leading until someone decides to make it 3 wide and try and make a run. And I think Burnt in that Tropicana machine is thinking about it, as he almost got swiped by Robert Barney. Sounds like there may be a couple trucks in the back of the field having some connection problems and causing some chaos in the field, and the field's trying to get them out of the way and kind of clean this race up a bit. Oh, you saw it, I think, right there, and that's that pink truck or purple truck from in the bottom. That is Jacob Dunn, I do believe, and so he's going to try to drop to the back here and get that connection fixed here for the rest of this race. Still side by side, and I love how respectful this field is being so far. Everyone's just kind of chill. Everyone's kind of riding along 2 by 2, like the ants marching in, or whatever way you prefer. I guess the animals on the ark, or what have you, in that 2 by 2 method you like to use. But just kind of riding along here. But James Morgan getting a lot of practice, as is Steve Loving, at leading at Echo. Oh, never mind. There's the chaos. There's Jacob Dunn falling back. Yep. He is going to blink here. So he'll give up some spots. There'll be 3 wide, and he's under the red line. That's okay, because he's not gaining anything. So the admins will have 0 problem with that. He's doing it for the right reason. It's gaining position or advantage. That would be a problem if you're below the red line. Morgan now finally got clear of Loving and went ahead and pulled down and took control of that bottom lane. Oh boy, Burnt made contact with Steve Loving, and now Burnt's up the hill. Now they're almost 3 wide at Atlanta. Oh, wrecking in the back. I saw the smoke. Where is it? It's right there in the corner. It's the 171 of Schwartz. Is that Ted Lowendick involved? There's teammates from Whataback Racing involved. Another truck was parked sideways and backwards there. I didn't get a number on that truck, but we'll see who it was in just a moment as they fall down. It might have been Willie Brennan down that. I won't say that yet. Wait and see who that third truck was. Whoa! Schwartz just hit somebody. That's the 15 who's really, I believe, the 115 tonight. And sent that truck on around. There's Ted Lowendick. I think Lowendick, no contact, just kind of had to stop abruptly to avoid hitting a teammate. Right on board with Schwartz. What happens here? This kind of happens out of nowhere. Oh, a bad checkup up ahead. That's what happened to Schwartz. That 15 truck checked up here. And then there's the 46 involved, very minorly, and cautions out for the second time. Watch on board for Ted Lowendick here. Watch what happens to him. I was curious if he got any contact, and he does not. He just kind of comes to a stop. Boy, that is perfect for Ted Lowendick, and backs it up and gets ready to leave. As he saw another truck on the bottom. Who is that? That's Thomas Sink. I thought I saw a third truck going on around. And certainly I did. Well, happy you're along for the ride. Kate Corbin will be here momentarily. He's checked in. He's on his way home to get into the broadcast booth. I'm going to thank Kate for filling in for Evan Posocco. Has been caught up for eNASCAR duty on a Wednesday night, so Evan's not with us. And eventually, I think we'll get Evan back home to PSR on a Wednesday night. More trucks down pit road. Elliott White, Mark Kalin, Ted Lowendick's going to come down. As is Jacob Dunn, he'll come down as well. And from here, it's more about gas, I think. You make sure you have enough gas for the end, and at least maybe not to the end, but enough gas to maybe outlast your opponents here at Echopark. There's that beautiful chrome 10 on the side of the Sulpec car for Elliott White. You know, he said we could do it earlier. So I think the scariest ride of that whole caution may have been for Ted Lowendick. It was full of a little bit of luck. So let's try and ask him about it. We're just going to bring you right into the broadcast booth in just a second. We're going to risk it here. We're going to welcome Ted Lowendick into the broadcast booth. Teddy, somehow you had the best brakes in the business right there. How did you get that thing stopped up in time?
Anticipation.
I guess
I don't
so.
know was it Nick that was coming down the track there? I wasn't sure if we were going to get stopped in time for it, but we did, and yeah, just topped up on fuel because why not? And we're already back here, so it doesn't really hurt us, and we don't really, lose anything.
So, I hate to call you a newbie at ovals. You've been at this too long to call that. But someone's still kind of new to ovals. Compare this to Daytona. People make that comparison. Is it the same to you?
No. The runs here, they generate so much faster, especially because the accordion effect on the bottom where people are lifting, so you can get a big run off the corner. You can swing down on a straightaway here on the front stretch and really gain a lot because of how wide it is. But like, you can't go anywhere, so that's the difference. Daytona's wide. Here you're kind of confined, so which is also bad because when everything kind of crashes into each other, it's usually right in front of you.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, we're going to put you back down and you're just about ready to go green flag racing again. Good luck, and hopefully it's not that close again.
I hope so, too. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Back down to Whataburger Racing he goes is Ted Lowendick, and you saw he just had that very close. That's got to be the best brakes ever. Some drivers can't get a truck stopped in time, but he somehow figured it out. Well, let's do this. Let's pick a truck on this restart. Let's ride along for a lap or two. Let's crank up the microphones, and let's let you experience what it's like to be in the pack here at Echopark Speedway. Let's see who our producer Dustin Ollis will pick. We'll let him do the choosing here for this time being. We'll ride along with someone. 23 of Brett Adams, I believe, is going to be our choice. Pancari is all the way back. We might pick him as well. So let's do this. Let's turn me down. We're going to pick the 35 of Brett McCarry. Let's do this. We're going to turn me down. We'll turn up the cams on the mics on the track. We'll let you ride along and feel the noise as we go green flag racing. All right, back with you. Hope you enjoyed feeling the noise as we rode along with Brett Pincari. Got a great look at his webcam there and some of the different strategies he employs with the hands and the whatnot, but we'll cover that later. Right now, look at this. It's so deep at the front of the field. It's James Morgan leading, Jeff Evans right behind him. Evans, of course, finished last week second to a different TRE truck, and we'll see if he can somehow hop ahead and run here. Here's on board from Morgan, looking back on it. We had a Steve Loving on the bottom in the old Windows machine. Jeff Evans up top in a very bright, colorful paint scheme this week. And then on back from there, it's Zachary Burnt, Colton Lanes up in P5, Robert Barney's in P6, Brett Adams, Jamie Graham, Steve Baker, and Brandon Walter round out your top 10. Morgan went up, and the field's gone by on the bottom. There went Steve Loving on around. Loving's up, and he'll take the lead, and he'll lead this lap at Echopark. So far, only a couple of leaders, many lead changes, but only 2 or 3 different trucks have led a lap here at Echopark so far. The drivers up front seem to be content to be there. And Loving, of course, up 5 spots on the day. Burnt's up 8. Morgan's up 4. So everyone at the front has charged their way to the front here. In fact, I'm going to take a look here. Steve Baker, your pole sitter, is down 10 spots, by the way. He is fallen back to 11th. Currently is now the bottom lane gets a move. Now it's Baker. It's Loving, Burnt, and Barney clear up front. I had Steve Baker in mind from the previous comment. And now it is Loving and Burnt. Here they are locked together, trying to get a run going. The top lane now exists. That's Robert Barney, James Morgan. On the bottom comes Jamie Graham. Where did he come from? He just split up from about P10 to find his way to the front. He's got a push from Brandon Walter on behind him. And this race is on, and there's it's back in the field. Sorry, they got me scared for a second. This is the front pack here at Echopark. Now there is a pack in the back of the field. Here's this camera sifts by. You see some drivers are opting to kind of lay back a little bit here. These are the drivers who I think are just being a little bit more cautious. They just kind of want to wait and see what happens here. They know there's plenty of time. No need to be involved in this beehive yet. In case yet another wreck happens, they possibly could avoid it by not being part of the pack, as they're 3 wide back there. There's an 82 in the middle. And I think they've got it sorted out. But that's a scary mode. 3 wide in the corners in Echopark is not the best place to be. Jamie Graham now 3rd in line on the bottom lane. That's the lane that's moving. The top lane started to fall apart. Let's see if they can get that momentum carried up again as Barney leading around with Morgan and Evans pushing. But look on the bottom. It is now Loving, Burnt, and Graham at your top 3. Clock is ticking away now, almost about 55 minutes to go on the clock. Here's now on your timing tower. You'll see who's up and down, how many spots so far this evening. And one of the beautiful things about this style of racing is every lap that's going to change around. Every lap, possibly every corner, it's going to move. And boy, there was a push from James Morgan that made Robert Barney wiggle. And that could have been really bad. But here we go down through. Robert Barney's trying to find momentum. He'll try and side draft off that car, the 6th car on the bottom, see if they can find a run. But so far there's big gaps up top. It's Barney, it's Morgan. Walter almost moved up but thought against it. And let's see if there's a move here. So far, to keep you up to date, let's take a look at that. 40 cars that started this race tonight, and upon my first glance, all 40 cars are still on track. All 39 cars on track. Nicholas Schwartz is out of the race. So it's 39 cars on track, 39 cars still on the lead lap. Ooh, big moment there for 94 and saved that. That's Alexis Vajant, one of the newer drivers here for PSR. Nice big wiggle there, but able to get it back under themselves and keep this race moving along under green flag. They're side by side with Nick Hunter. And this is a battle back. They're P27 between Hunter and Vajant, and then you'll see some other trucks on behind them. That'd be Elliott White, Justin Rodden, Thomas Sink, and Matt Scherf, to name a few. Interesting to note, in our interview with Ted Lomadick under caution, he said he thought that the runs happened faster here. Let's watch what happened to Vajont on the replay. Got up a little high. It's got Nicholas Acosta up under him. Hits the wall, and you know, it did the right thing there to Vajont. This wall kind of hugs you. It kind of holds you and squeezes you up to the wall. And it's difficult to get off that wall and not yank it too hard to the left. So Vajont, a nice job slowly getting off the throttle, letting the wall release him and getting back in the lane here in the draft pack. Let's watch this again. Yep, see this lifted. You heard all the speed come out of the car. Barely, oh man, got it off the 15. Wow, boy, that's Nick Byer, I do believe, in the 15. Nick Byer almost went for a really bad ride. But up front, a good ride is forming. A new leader at the top lane now, by the way, has formed up here. As now it's Robert Barney pushing around a different driver. That is Jamie Graham on the 1 now leading the top lane. So it's Graham, it's Barney, it's Morgan, it's Jeff Evans, and more. And there's Colton Lane behind Evans. But the difference here is no one's packed up. No one is really using the air to push right now, maybe except for Barney and Graham. And boy, every time that the front car moves like Graham is, it's incredibly hard to push. You see Graham's wiggling around, and there Morgan said, I'm done with that. Morgan has decided to bail, get to the bottom lane. He is scared of what's happening, and he should be, because when that front car wiggles, it's impossible to push, and if you do push it, you're likely to spin it around. Now 4 cars clear on the bottom. Steve Loving, Zachary Burnt, Brandon Walter, and I believe Brett Adams all clear. At least the top 3 are clear of that top lane. They're just riding around by themselves here. But again, no hurry, no push from Burnt or Walter to make that move here. There goes Adams up the hill. He's going to try to do the top lane. Maybe not. He looked at it, and I think this got a little wide in the trial hole. And then back down the lane he goes. But that will give a small run to that top lane there. That'll help Graham and Barney and others get a bit of a run here and see if they can now work their way to the front. Now coming on board with Nicholas Gadina. Let's see, Nicholas here got the hands at about 11-3. And having a wild ride back here is Gadina. This is back in 23rd, by the way. And about 48 minutes still on the clock for Nicholas Gadina. So he's kind of riding back in the pack here. Having a good run so far and kind of keeping that run pretty quiet. And now back to full screen here with Nicholas Gadina looking on board here. So that truck up ahead, that's 88 at Doyle Lawrence up ahead here. And remember, this is the battle back for about 23rd or so. Oh, looking big wreck. Oh, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Robert Barney. I think there's Jeff Evans. There's the 2 of Steve Baker involved. Caution is out for the 3rd time. Ted Lomadick, I do believe, is involved. Colton Lane may be involved. This is going to likely be the big one. And Echoparkers are still wrecking into the wall here down below the near the bottom of the track. I think we're going to start with Brett Adams back in P4. And we'll wait and see what the replay shows us. Yep, Adams up the hill. Oh boy, on top of Jamie Graham. And a few drivers made it through. James Morgan went to the bottom. There's a Acosta going by. There's probably about 7 or 8 trucks that are tore up here at the track. Let's watch on board with Jamie Graham here. This will be a tough hit. Watch right there, up hit, and then that's where it all starts. Jamie Graham goes breakdancing to the bottom of the track. This is literally everybody pitting, a mix of gas, tires, damage, and more. Let's watch pit road and let's watch the action here. Literally the only car left on track is the pace car. Look at the timers on the right side of your screen. Steve Loving, Evan Williams, James Morgan, Steve Baker, Jeff Evans. And there'll be a mix here, as I said, of cars getting damage fixed, cars getting gas and tires, likely some new leaders or cars up front. And we'll wait and see how they line up. Of course, Steve Loving comes out first. There's Burnt. And we'll go through the field here in just a moment to get lined back up. All right, well, at this time, let's welcome in our co-commentator, Cade Corbin. And Cade, you picked a convenient piece of timing to hop on in and get ready for the booth. We're just under caution here for the third time at Echopark. About 45 minutes on the clock left here, and so welcome in.
Yeah, it seems like we've had one of those typical Echopark Atlanta moments. I mean, this is super speedway racing. One car goes around towards the front of the field, just nowhere to go, and you can see everybody piling in, no mistakes there. That's just a product of this type of racing. Everybody gets involved, and unfortunately a lot of good trucks torn up, but still plenty of time to get back in it. We're seeing some long pit stops, which means iRacing is letting those trucks get fixed up and back in the action. And
boy, one of the heartbreaks of that wreck has to be Brees Bogue. I think he had that thing checked up, that Ford truck there. I think he thought he had it checked up and was good, and then he got kind of ran over by the momentum of the trucks on back. All right, well, some more trucks down pit road. Actually, they may be leaving right there. Those are the ones just getting damage fixed. You see the timers are done. So watch it one more time. Watch Bogue here in the 4 on the bottom. That's that black and green truck. I'm clear, I'm clear, I'm not clear. Boy, you almost think for Bogue, in retrospect, Cade, had he probably just stayed on track, it might have been better.
Either that, but he escaped with pretty minimal damage. You know, a little bit of a touch to the right rear, nothing there. A little bit of a touch to the front nose of that truck, but should be able to get that damage fixed in enough time to stay on the lead lap. And he's going to get up here. He'll have the draft, and he'll probably be in much better shape than some guys that had heavier contact in that wreck or in previous wrecks.
We said cautions happen fast here. The lights on the pace truck are out. So let's go through to Steve Loving, Zachary Burnt, Brandon Walter, your top 3. Evan Williams, James Morgan, your top 5. And then Lane Knight, Toomer Jr., Bradley Holly, and Nicholas Acosta, your top 10. So, Cade, we're about a half hour into this race, 45 minutes to go, roughly, give or take a minute or two. It's been pretty calm racing, side by side, 2 wides. At what point do you think these drivers kind of give up and we start seeing 3 wide to happen here?
Well, 3 wide, as far as super speedway racing goes, it's pretty difficult in Atlanta. You can make it work, but I think that's going to be a little bit of move that we just don't see until the very end of the race. For right here, more parade laps, more guys just ticking time away, Loving and Burnt ready to bring us to the green. So we'll see if they prove me wrong, but I'm thinking this going to be a little calm here. Great jump on the outside is actually going to give Loving about 2 car lengths heading into turn 1.
Yeah, green flag is back out here at Echopark, and Loving's got a great jump here up in the top of the hill. He's going to get wounded up here, but that bottom lane is now moving as Loving has now moved down to control that bottom lane. Where he's been most of the night is up front on the bottom and trying to control that lane. But up top, there's a lane moving. There's some pushing happening. We'll wait and see who those numbers and those trucks are as we go overnight. I believe Brandon Walter leading that top lane around. And this movement is happening. Walter would be his first time leading. If he gets there, he's getting a beautiful push on back from Colton Lane, but for now, Loving leads yet another lap.
And this is something that I think we'll see as the race goes on. When the pushes get more aggressive, it'll work more in the favor of that top groove. Right now, the bottom, if everybody plays it safe, is going to be the place to be, and that's where Loving is holding firm. Right now, he's got Burnt right behind him, just holding in line. But when the sun goes down, the track grips up, and the pushes get a little bit more aggressive, that top lane is going to be able to gain a little bit more momentum and will probably actually be the preferred groove with about 5-10, getting down to 2 laps to go. So we'll see if Loving eventually jumps up there. For the moment, though, I think he's content to stay in the bottom. Sketchy moment here in the back for Justin Roden.
Yeah, it's Justin Roden. And what I noticed there in my little bit of reaction, if we ride on board a full lap here, watch this. Here's Roden is on back here in the field, back in 30th. But that bit of glare that I saw is going to drive some drivers crazy. Now, at Daytona, it would be right here out of 4. That's where you expect to see the glare. But watch this coming into 1. It starts coming to your left-hand view right here. But watch as you're heading into turn 1 here. That glare is going to beat you in the face. And why that's problematic, Cade, at least in my opinion, and maybe you have a different one as a driver, is if a wreck happens right there, there's one more obstacle to mess with your visibility.
Yeah, it is incredibly difficult to see where you're going when you've got that sun in your eyes. The good news is for some of these drivers, they may have their graphics set so that sun isn't actually as big of a factor. We're definitely running some high quality graphics here on Green Flag TV, but each individual driver is going to have their settings set differently. So in that case, it may actually be a disadvantage to have a more high powered PC with higher graphics, because if you lower that, you can actually basically remove the sun from the session and you'll remove that obstacle.
Cheaters. All right, well, on board here, you saw Mark Kalin for a second there. Mark with the new webcam setup right there, kind of just behind the wheel. I got a good look at Mark and how his wheel is responding. But up front, what's responding right now is Steve Loving. He's responded by leading yet more laps here at Echopark. But boy, Brandon Walter does not want to let it go. He's going to push Colton Lane in behind him. And then it's still, these lines are just 2 by 2, probably what, 6-7 rows deep here, Cade. And I mean, right now, if you look at the standings, if you're James Morgan in 9th, if you're Mike Toomer, if you're Mike Richter, you're just along for the ride. This is maybe a 2-wide race, and it feels weird to say that compared to Daytona last week, but at a certain point, you're just along for the ride back in that draft pack.
And especially if you're towards the front, you're pretty content to stay where you are right now. We actually saw Walter get clear there, and so now it is up to Daniel Knight to push Colton Lane on the top side to try to keep that momentum up upstairs. But yeah, if you're top 10, really even top 15 right here, you're thinking, hey, you know, how can I stay here? Maybe move up a couple of positions, but for the moment, you know, there's not going to be anything that you're going to gain by trying to force the issue. As a little bit of a bad push there off the corner, and nearly 3 wide for the lead, but Walter's able to save it.
A bit of a wild move as now it's Walter in the bottom and Loving up top. They've kind of flipped it here for the moment, and Loving, that was so close to being bad through the tri-oval there for Brandon Walter. Now getting a push from Zachary Burns, and look at this. It's a pretty calm overall compared to what we saw earlier, but Loving now getting the push from Colton Lane, and that top lane is off center a bit. Now that is not as hurtful as it would have been last week. So again, and I bring these points up to say, Kate, I know people compare this to super speedway racing, and I get why, but it's not the same.
It's definitely a very different beast than Daytona. We're going to take a look here. I think this is a situation where he's pushing right on corner exit. Yeah, there's a bump right at the exit of the corner as the banking flattens out. And he tried to push just a little bit there. Great save by Walter, but Loving went upstairs, and now he's getting pushed by Lane. But yeah, definitely different than Daytona. It's not as wide. Obviously, you've got this flat quad oval to deal with instead of the banked tri-oval at Daytona. The track surface is a little bit different. On the long run, you'll have to lift for tire wear. So there's a lot that goes on that makes this track super speedway racing, but its own flavor, I think, would be the best way to describe it.
The fact you're lifting here in the corners kind of makes it its own thing, right? The fact that you're really actively lifting and braking. It's not just a gentle lift sometimes. I mean, look at the estimates here and the RPMs from Steve Loving as he's now back to the front, by the way, trying to control both lanes. It's now Walter behind him. It's Colton Lane now leading that top lane on around. So drivers are once again cycling on through. Now 37 minutes on the clock. Keep in mind, Kane, if we stay green here, pit stops are not done. No one could make it on fuel from that caution at 45 minutes to go.
Yeah, green flag pit stops, they're another really interesting aspect of super speedway racing because you're going to pit with so many cars in such close proximity to each other. We'll see if we get there, but the procedure in Atlanta, of course, different than it is at Daytona. You're going to be pitting on the apron on the back straightaway instead of waiting until the exit of turn 4. So something maybe these guys have practiced, maybe not. Colton Lane now has moved up to the lead, got a really good push from Daniel Knight down the backstretch. Now Knight trying to get hooked up again. I think that's Bradley Hawley up top pushing as the third truck in that line. So getting it working, getting both lanes worked in, starting to see a pretty competitive race as opposed to a bottom dominant event.
Yeah, and you know what, and compared to all the broadcasts you and I have done for the past, month or so at Daytona and the Cup cars, do not push the pusher here. That is that is still a faux pas in the trucks. You do not want to do that. So Brad has to be very careful with his push of Daniel Knight and making sure this works. There's Brad there with all the Lego sets in the background, some of the race-winning posters and mementos of success. But you see the lights are on here at Echopark, so the lights are on. I'm not sure if the sun will fully set before this race is over, but at least the lights are on here and we're prepared for it.
I'll say another 30, 35 minutes. That sun should go just about completely down. It's not going to change the track temperature drastically. I think that's really the biggest thing that these drivers are going to worry about with the sun. It's going to get a little bit cooler, going to have a little bit more grip, but in 30 minutes, it's not going to be super noticeable. What's going to be more noticeable, I think, is guys getting more aggressive with the bump draft, with the side drafting too. Side draft super effective in these trucks. So you can see 3 wide in the back already getting a little bit aggressive. That was for position outside the top 10, and moves like that are going to continue. Still 3 wide here, bouncing around in the middle. Ooh. That is the 3
Mark
truck.
Kalin up top. That's Jacob Dunn in the middle. That is the 45, I believe, on the bottom. Oh boy, that's just wild. You're that deep back, and Dunn's almost stuck in what we effectively call the sucker hole here. He's got Steve Baker behind him a little bit, and Dunn, of course, had those connection problems earlier. Hopefully he's got those fixed. If he's 3 wide in the middle now next to Thomas Sink, and he's bouncing like a pinball here, Kane. He's just back and forth trying to hold onto that truck, and I think he's got it.
He's actually making progress here. I think if he can clear Sink, that's going to be about +4 positions, and yes, he will. Compared to where he was running a couple of laps ago, he's actually managed to make up a good chunk of track position, now up to the 14th spot. One of the first guys to get aggressive and go 3 wide.
Do you think he cleared Sink, or do you think Sink said, hey, listen, like, it's not that time? Like, maybe it's time just to give the space up here.
Well, we almost saw moving to the middle. That was a little bit farther ahead, I believe. That was Bumgarner trying to sneak to the middle and basically replicate that move. But a combination of things. You know, Sink maybe backed off, maybe was smart, but it was truly a lot of momentum to Jacob Dunn flying up the middle that allowed him to have the speed to complete that move. So combination of factors. I think a couple other guys are going to take note of that, and they might try to replicate that move up the middle later in the race. Whoa, check up in the front there.
Yeesh. My goodness, that was close. And that's the one thing in these trucks, and Ted talked about an interview earlier before you came in. We brought him in the booth under caution. He said the runs you get here are massive and wild, and so are the checkups. I mean, these checkups happen fast, and they move back to the field fast. That's what caused our first wreck. Watch it again. It's what we saw right from the camera shot. And boy, Ted had to move up. Had he stayed in lane there, Kate, he probably would have just rear-ended the 82.
And we are back 3. That 82, I want to say, is a lap down. I'm not sure that is truck 4 position, but potentially battling for the free pass. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, it's a misnumbered truck. I believe it is the 15 on your scoring pylon. It's Mike Richter, who is not. He is lead lap. There's only a couple trucks a lap down. Brett Adams is a lap down in the 23 truck. Blaine Adams in the 32 truck is 3 laps down. And a couple more that are Doyle Lawrence and Nick Schwartz off the track. So, yeah, a misnumbered truck will cause chaos for the commentators. But right now, that's Mike Richter on the bottom making a return to PSR. Oh, there's a truck up top. There's one of the Adams.
That, I think, is a lapper.
Yeah, that
getting
is a
out
lapper.
of the way, doing the right thing, and staying high. So, good move there on the part of the 23. Although I think if this knocks him 2 laps down, that is going to take him out of the spot to get the free passing it back on the late lap. So, good thing he didn't fight for it there, but definitely hampers the race for that 23.
I mean, right now there's no one to lap down, so even right now he would still get it. So we'll wait and see what happens. And of course, a heartbreaker for Brett. Led some laps early in this race, and just not able to get up there currently and lead it on around. Well, let's do this while we're under green. Knock on wood. Let's get in our Miracle Flow team update. We'll start towards the front with Jeff Evans. Jeff, of course, having a solid run. He's been up front most of the evening, and right now is running here through the pack, trying to find some momentum involved in that wreck a little bit ago. But Jeff, here in that very bright, colorful number 51 Miracle Flow machine, is having a solid run and wants to get back to the front here before much happens along. His teammate, Bradley Holly, is up in P5. Brad's having a solid run, and Brad's part of that crew and having a pretty solid run here in the 184. See, he's kind of dipping below, trying to find maybe a little bit of engine cooling there behind the 6, or to stick that red line. I'm not sure. Other teammates here in this crew. Nick Schwartz already off the track, involved in that big wreck earlier. The Ted Lone Dick Step and Doug Evans, unfortunately, not here tonight. So I believe that concludes your Miracle Flow team update. You know, Miracle Flow is more than hair care. It is built for the bold. Founded in Rochester, New York back in 2015, Miracle Flow was created to elevate both your look and your lifestyle. Made in USA and crafted for real performance, it's made for those who show up ready, whether it's game night with the boys or a night out on the town. No shortcuts, no gimmicks, just results. Miracle Flow, because your flow isn't just style, it's a statement. Okay, buddy, I think the statement's been made all night long. Comes to the front of the field. It's Steve Loving. We've been racing now in, 68 laps. And I tell you that Steve Loving's probably led at least 50 of them. He has put a statement up front here that he is happy leading, he's comfortable leading, and he's good at taking back the lead if you try and take it from him.
And that also sends the message to the rest of the field. If you're a guy who's up front as much as he's been, James Morgan also leading laps earlier in this race, those two guys kind of gets into the minds of the other drivers. You know, you make a mental note as a driver of who's good and who's not. And if you're up there leading a lot of laps, like Loving, like Morgan, even just running inside the top 3, you know, Brandon Walter, Zachary Burnt right now, they're building their pedigree with the rest of the field. And so when push comes to shove, in your mind as a driver, you're thinking, hey, I can work with these guys. I know that these guys are good. I know that these guys have been front runners. I'm not scared to get pushed or push those trucks. So it's going to help being up front, but it's going to help them later in the race as well.
Look at this. Jamie Graham got down to the very last second. Still on track here. And now Jamie Graham is getting put a lap down by this truck. Remember, Jamie's another truck involved in that big wreck earlier, right when you came in the booth, and I'm not a fan of this. I'll be honest. A lap. I mean, he's got to fight for spots here, but at Atlanta, this is a little sketch. I'll be honest with you. So, going to ride on through 3 wide. Now that's James Morgan in the middle. That's Mark Kalin up top. And I mean, all respect to Jamie Graham. He's trying to keep involved in this battle. He's trying to keep only a lap down, but staying on the bottom in Atlanta is a choice when you're getting lapped.
Unfortunately, there's not really a good spot for a lap car, though. Even up high, we saw with the previous lap truck, he basically had to get in the wall. You know, there was contact for him to get out of the way. So I think Graham's done a good job. They're not 3 wide anymore. Looks like the pack hasn't broken up. So he'll settle in and get a run as there's another lap truck.
There's Blaine Adams, I believe. Yep. That's the one that's 3 or 4 laps down. So that's Blaine Adams now going 5 laps down, unfortunately.
The good news for Graham is, though, now that he's in the pack, he didn't fall too far behind the leader. So if there is another truck that goes 1 lap down, he'll be able to do battle and potentially grab the free pass to get himself back in this fight. Unfortunately, he's kind of in the middle of the mess, so a potential to be involved in another wreck if we do see one. But at the moment, he's running his own race. He's doing what he needs to do, and sometimes you got to say, to heck with these other guys. I got to fight for myself. You know, I came here to race for myself. Going to put myself in this pack and fight for that free pass if that's what it comes to. So I support the move. We'll see if it works out for him, but only time will tell.
Only time will tell. And right there's Jamie Graham in the 1 at the bottom. That's Nicholas Acosta up in the black and orange truck up ahead. There's another Adams truck getting lapped, and so those 2 guys are just not having a very good night. That was Brett again, I believe. That'll now put him 4 laps down here in this race. Now less than 30 minutes on the clock, 27 minutes to be exact here. It's Loving, it's Walter, it's Burnt, Evans, and Holly, your top 5, and those are the 5 that have sort of cleared the double file fight. Okay, then it's Bumgarner and Kalin side by side, and that group you saw in that camera shot. So 5 trucks clear at Echopark.
Far back in the pack, really aggressive move there from Sheriff. Something I noticed back up front was that was Colton Lane that was pushing that top side. He's actually gotten down to the bottom, and that has left Daniel Knight as the second car up top. That kind of puts you in a key position. You know, if you're the second car in line, that'll really dictate how well that line goes. As now there's a little bit of shuffling up front. That is the 184 machine, Bradley Holly.
Yeah, a new look for Brad Holly on the paint this week, and he's now wants to lead that top lane. He wants to move to the front. Now they're back up to 4th place, and Evan Williams side by side, and Holly's going to get a push from Mark Kalin, a longtime friend there, and then they'll get pushes from on back behind that. Here's some Mark Kalin. There's that look up ahead, and you see the room there full of Lego sets. Mark's still yet to complete the Lego Titanic set. We'll have to harass him post-race about when or if that thing will ever get completed. But some of the nice sets there on the wall behind Mark. I know his partner is watching upstairs, and so say hello to her and the rest of the Kalin family. I know they watch every week here on Green Flag TV. But look how calm that wheel is, Cade. I always tell people, if you want to see how much fun a driver's having, watch the wheel. The fact that Mark's not death gripping, the fact that that wheel is not like flinging back and forth, I bet Mark's having a good night.
He's not stressed, I'll tell you that much, and it also helps maintain speed. You know, the more micro adjustments that you make, the more speed that you're scrubbing off. So keeping that wheel smooth means that he's focused, he's making speed, he knows what he's doing. Sitting really pretty in the draft. I think since we've hopped on board with him, that top lane has made a move forward, and he's now currently up to the top 5 side by side with, that's Evan Williams there peeking on the inside. Now he's going to get a big run down the back straightaway. Push coming to, that is Holly, and Bradley Holly actually going to get out of the way and let Kalin take that run. You see him side drafting on that right rear quarter panel. I do got to ask Derrick, I know I'm a little bit late to the show, but has anybody made the ooh, he looks just like Bradley Holly joke yet?
No, and I don't know how Brad feels about that joke, so I'm not sure if I'm going to make that joke. But I get it. That's a good joke. I can't believe I've not thought of that yet. By the way, well, speaking of hands on the wheel and how calm it looks, let's take a different look for a second. Let's go back in the field, and let's look at Brett Pancari for a second. Let's see if we can get his car and his webcam pulled up on a moment here, and watch how different this looks, kid. I noticed this earlier when we were doing our Feel the Noise segment. Look how much more movement there is in that wheel. It's just a difference of force feedback, and there's Brett having to readjust the VR headset. But boy, look at all the force feed. That is an arm workout to have that much force feedback in your wheel.
He's got so much force feedback. He's had to go ahead and change his hand position. You know, 10 and 2 isn't necessarily always the racing hand position. Sometimes we'll do a 9 and 3. I've even seen guys get more aggressive and hitting 11 and 1.
That's like 12 and 9 almost, isn't it?
I mean, that's like a 1 and 7. I don't really know what that is. Very unique. It's working for him, and he's in a different position too than Mark Kalin is. Something, you know, kind of pivotal to note. He is the first of 2 cars in a 2-car tandem. He's got Justin Rodden right behind him, and they are trying to make as much time as they can to avoid going a lap down. So they are in full push mode, right? They are really trying to make lap time. Different position than the front of the pack.
Make a bold statement here. You watch how this car moves around out of the corners, especially. Watch how it kind of drifts up out of the corners a little bit. Now it's not going to, of course, because I said something. But I bet if Brett would turn that force feedback down, he'd have an easier time holding some lines in the draft. And now what him and Rodden are likely doing is they're just back here kind of waiting and hoping there's another yellow flag before this race ends, and they're not part of it. But that is, to me, I mean, listen, everyone has their own setting. That's way too much. And this move right here that you see with the hands right now, we talked about with our producer Dustin Ollis earlier. He says this is something that Dale Jr. did back in the Cup days when Jr. was an active driver, that sort of shifting the hand up to the top of the wheel to help it turn. So that may be the inspiration for that. But hey, you know what I see in the background there? Brett's basically got his own like blockbuster video back there. I think you could like name a movie, and I bet Brett has it back there. Look at all those DVDs and games back there.
I hope that he gets an interview at the end of this one, because I'm just going to shout out the name of a random movie, one of those weird comedies from like the early 2000s that came out. I'll shout a random movie name, and then we can go make him dig for it. But a little bit of work to do. Look at this mess. Caught a couple of more lap trucks. They're already 3 wide. The 26 is going to have to bail way out to avoid that. And they are still 3 wide. Now on the fence, 4 wide for a moment. And now it has all been shaken out. The pack actually split in half. Look at that. Big split behind this 3 wide battle here at the tail end of the top 15.
So let's take a look at a moment. It's Loving, Walter, Burnt, Holly, Killing, your top 5. Williams, Bumgarner, Lane, Baker, Lowendick, your top 10. And this pack you're seeing right here, this is James Morgan in the red, Jacob Dunn in the purple. That's the 43. That's a new look from Matt Scherf. That's the 17 of Daniel Knight making his return this season. The 19 of Nicholas Hunter. This whole battle is 11th on back. So this is the kind of the second pack here, and they're all sort of connected. Where you're seeing that second pack, Cade, that's 20th on back. That's Mike Richter on back. So this first pack here is 19 trucks deep. And they're racing like it.
Well, they're seeing that clock tick down. It's going to be just about 20 minutes to go here. Probably in next lap, it will hit that 20-minute mark. And to me, that's one of those things where the drivers say, okay, you know, I'm realizing if I'm back in 18th or 19th, I've got to start making some headway. I've got to get towards the front of the pack, because if I don't start now, I'm going to run out of time. And so we'll see these moves. They'll get more and more desperate. Then the 10th place with 10 minutes to go, they'll say, okay, now I got to get in position. 5 minutes to go. You know, everybody outside the top 5. Now you've got 15 or 14 trucks that are thinking, hey, there's 4 or 5 minutes to go in this race, and I'm way back here. I want to be up there. I got to start making those moves. That's when the moves get desperate, and that's when the opportunity arises for us to potentially see another wreck. So, but this is where it starts. 20 minutes to go. The drivers that are kind of at the back half of this field, they're thinking, hey, time is starting to run short. I got to gain some track position.
There's another Adams truck getting lapped here, top of the track. He'll stick up to the dog leg. We're going around safe so far. And every time that happens, you're right, it does sort of break apart the field a little bit here. You see there's a little bit of separation now. Hold on, caution's out. This is the caution with 19 and almost 20 minutes to go. Matt Sheriff in the 43 is around. There's Jamie Graham around. A little bit of contact from Reese Bogue on the bottom of the track. And Stacy Hunter in the 71. Wow, this is going to change a lot very quickly at Echopark.
And that's going to be a killer for Jamie Graham. Did a good job. We talked about slotting himself into the pack, and unfortunately, by being involved in that incident, is not going to be eligible for the free pass, so he's going to be stuck a lap down. And now he's got more damage, all these other trucks with damage as well. We're going to take a look at the replay.
4 wide. No, not the 4 wide that got it, actually. Oh, there it is in the back. Sheriff went up and hit that lap truck of Adams. Reese Bogue got involved. Oh boy, a couple of cars went flying in. Jamie Graham, it's like that second pack showed up, and maybe they weren't aware of where the wreck was, but wow, that happened fast, Cade. Blaine Adams, I believe, has claimed fault for this wreck. That's hence the end of line penalty, I do believe here. Well, Cade, everyone down pit road here. This will watch it from the replay here.
And it's going to see that 4 truck takes a jump to the bottom, I think. It happens at the same time as Sheriff comes up. A little bit of a dual reaction there to the lap truck. Just really shows you how narrow this track is. And that is Sheriff.
Yeah, go ahead. We saw the same thing.
He was got himself spinning on a pit road. Difficult pit road entry under green, but even under yellow, hitting those bumps, I think tripped him up, possibly some damage as well. And he's got it going in the right direction now, still on the lead lap, but going to put him a little bit behind the 8 ball. Here's a look at this moment again. Oh, big check up.
It's too late to check up. Yep. And now the problem might be
like to turn right.
That's a black flag for Matt Sheriff, and watch this, because he's going to enter that past the yellow line there. That's going to be a unsafe pit entrance to really just sort of, you know, kick a man while he's down almost, right? You got damage, you're mad, you spun the truck, and here's a black flag for you.
Well, this up here is going to be really important in determining the outcome of the race. This is the final race off pit road. You pit here, you can make it to the end. Loving looks like he was the first one to get out of the pits, followed by Kalen. Great pits for Kalen and Walter. Not sure if they took less fuel or only 2 tires, but they've been able to move their way up. Burnt and Williams, the rest of the top 5 off pit road. That's where they're going to restart. And this close to the end of the race, this is where track position becomes super important. Those guys did a great job executing on pit road.
A great job executing on it. Right. Watch this pit stop from Mark Kalen here. It's just a no tire stop. Watch this here. It's what being told in my ears. It's a no tire stop. This would be a very wild decision. That car never, that truck, never leaves the ground. Kate, that is a bold choice at Echopark.
Yeah, that's one of those differences, you know, compared to Daytona Talladega. Tire wear here is a factor. If you have old tires, the truck will want to push up in the middle of the corners. You're going to get tight. And then when you're trying to correct that, you're more likely to break loose. So It's going to be really interesting to see. I would think that Kalen was going to want to be at least in first, but he'll have some clean air. He'll be the first car on the bottom, so there's an opportunity to get some clean air. But if he gets back in dirtier, that 62 truck is going to be fighting very tight by the end of this run.
Well, speaking of Mark Kalen, he is one of the drivers who's going to participate next week in the CIL Indy 500. You know, it's almost upon us. On February 26th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, one more driver will look to add their name to the list of drivers who have been able to kiss the virtual bricks at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not only can everyone watch that race live here on Green Flag TV next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, but any college student or alum can enter this race. If you want to find out how, you can enter this race and get your share of at least a $100 prize pot. You can scan that QR code or visit collegiateiRacingLeague.com for more information. I know Mark Kalen's going to do it. Jeff Evans is going to do it. We've seen a couple responses across Green Flag TV. I think from Monday Nights in the High Tide, Michael Thorpe Jr. is going to do it and represent UNOH, which has a big following already. So, Cade, an Indy 500 one week from tomorrow night will be exciting to watch.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I was in the booth for that race last year, Derrick. Margin of victory, 39 thousandths of a second. Came down to the wire, and I think we're going to see the same
happen again. Let's see if we have that tonight. It's very possible we could. Steve Loving leads us around. Mark Kalen on the bottom. Watch for those spun tires. Kalen gets up to speed a little slow, a little ginger here, and that lets Loving pull away. Down through turns 1 and 2. Loving gets a big run. Kalen on the bottom, and I'm just nervous what's going to happen here. As you said, handling matters here from Mark Kalen. And I wonder if you're Brandon Walter, if you're anyone in that bottom lane, are you nervous if you realize Mark Kalen didn't take tires?
If he's in clean air, I think he's going to be okay, and he did a good job maximizing the run on Steve Loving. Loving got really far ahead. Good push from Walter to Kalen's going to give Kalen the lead here with just over 14 minutes remaining. He now has lane choice. He can clear up if he wants, or he can maintain the bottom. Leading right now is going to be the best position for that 62. Everybody behind him should be okay as long as there's max downforce on that 62 truck.
Boy, if he gets a bad bump, though, from the 99, if he gets a wild bump, though, the odds he saves that truck reduces drastically compared to almost any other driver right now. A couple drivers on pit road, Zach Williams and Matt Scherf still down there again. They might be serving penalties because there's no times on the pit stops there. Those are just drive-through penalties. So we'll get them back on track and get them running along here. And all things considered, Cade, for a track that drives like a super speedway, not that much attrition tonight. We started with 40 trucks. Still have 31 on the lead lap. We still have, I believe, at least 37 of them running as of this moment. Maybe 36. That's a good number. If you still have 36, 35 trucks out of 40, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, and I think people have started to realize on iRacing that this super speedway style is very much more of a chess match. There's no reason to go up there and push super early in the race because you're so likely to lose that track position, you know, on pit road or you know, something happens later in the race. Right here, what we're seeing now is it's finally getting to that point of being go time. Finally, everybody's pushing. Kalen has lost the lead. That's checked up the bottom quite a bit, and now they're 3 wide. That is Jacob Dunn. Stuck in the middle. Turned around is the 194, I think, and the caution is out once again. Excuse me, that's just the 94 machine. And
that's
that is
Alexis Vigeant, pardon me, you're right. Yeah, that's Alexis Vigeant turned around, and there's the 8 back there with them. A couple of other cars may be involved in this. Yet another caution here. This will bring us down to about probably 14 minutes on the clock when we go green flag racing again. Now, I wonder what Mark Kalen learned. He learned he's happy. Let's find out. But here first is the wreck. This is Vigeant up top. It's going to be a couple other cars. Oh, the 45 on the bottom. A car in the middle, and Vigeant just got turned around. Oh, got T-boned right there as well. It was Brett Pancari, I think, you T-boned him. Brett had nowhere to go.
And that's another product of a very narrow track. They went 3 wide and just ran out of space. I think that happened right as the track kinked in the quad oval. So unfortunately, that is one of the things that does happen in Atlanta. It's gone out and bitten Vigeant. So we're going to ride along here. This, I think, is somebody who just literally missed the wreck. Matt Gagnon, yep. Great job sneaking through that one, and for his troubles, he's going to be able to restart a couple spots higher.
Matt, someone you're familiar with, maybe due to your eNASCAR College Series competitions. So someone you've probably seen the name of before, but got it through there. Okay, so Brett McCarthy's down pit road, as is Justin Rodden. You see Stacy Hunter's down there, Jamie Graham. The Adams trucks are down there. So, again, probably not much tire advantage you're going to find in 3 or 4 laps here, Cade, but maybe these drivers are hunting for a little bit of damage to get fixed and see if they can get these machines back to full power.
Yeah, and new tires is never going to hurt. Adding more fuel will also set the back end of the truck down and help your handling just a little bit. So, you know, obviously if you're up front, track position is going to be the key. Kalen is really the only one who's, you know, maybe at a big grip disadvantage. But in the back, if you want to find just a little bit, you know, you're already outside the top 25, come down, fill it with gas. Like you said, maybe you have some optionals left to repair, put 4 tires on, you know, sprint to the finish. Another thing is it'll get you out of the middle of the pack. You know, if you're restarting 21st, they could wreck in front of you, they could wreck behind you, they could wreck next to you. If you're restarting in 30th, you control your own destiny a little bit more. So I'm not against pitting there. I think for all those guys that decided to come down, especially the lappers, you know, get some more grip, put yourself in a better position to react and see what you can make happen in the last 10 minutes.
Well, we'll get ready to get this thing back around. And you know what? Let's do this. There's other broadcasts going on Green Flag TV right now, Kate. In fact, over at the Beer League, it's Nolan Ripple and Jacob Kohler on the call over there. They're over racing those cars around the track there and having a good solid run. Look at that. So that's live. That's where we're taking you next here on the Beer League. Also going on right now, the Collegiate iRacing League Sports Car Series is at the Miami Road Course. That new Miami F1, well, newish Miami F1 track is also happening here. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, that CL Sports Car Series actually at Fuji. So that is
not Miami. Sorry,
I believe
Fuji. You're right.
I believe there's some rain coming down in that race as well. So if you want to check out some rain racing, some multi-class rain racing, that is over on Green Flag TV as well.
Other things you can check out tomorrow. The Caswell Glass Company's here. Should be at the Coda for their first road race of the season. Myself and others on the call. The Collegiate iRacing League, the Formula College, their IndyCar Series at the Indy Road Course as they quote-unquote prep for the Indy 500. The Speed Cup Series will be at Echopark Speedway. They'll be here, so I'll leave the booth open for Nolan Rimple and Brad Daniels for that. Friday night, the Zero Torque Racing League continues their playoffs at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. On Saturday, the Sim Racing Association heads over to the Homestead Miami Speedway in the trucks. Then the Cyber 500, Sunday, noon Eastern. We set the duels for that last night. That field is set. And then Monday night, another triple header with Collegiate iRacing League and more on Green Flag TV. Want to find out if we can broadcast your league or special event? Head over to www.greenflagtv.com to get more information. Steve Loving is up here on the pole, ready to go. He's got Zach Byrne outside. Green Flag is back out, and we're back racing. Oh, big checkup up top. Mark Killen did not get moving.
Ooh, 4 wide, and they're wrecking in the back. No, they saved it, but still 4 wide. And somebody's going to have to back out. That is not going to
back out someone. That's
Still
Molendick in the middle, Morgan up top, the 6 car, Colton Lane's on the bottom. Now they're back to 3 wide. Molendick said, nope, I'm done.
Lane going to lose a lot of track position as well. I think the big gainer from that was Daniel Knight. Then now they are wrecking in the back.
There comes your caution. Wait and find it. Matt Scherf, yep, he's around, yep. That time he'll be on pit road in time, but we'll wait and see. I suspect he didn't do that alone, Cade.
And I suspect that's still a product of that same checkup that we saw that happened on the restart. I mean, anytime something like that happens in the first or second row, that accordion effect, that ripple is just going to build and build throughout the field. And they did a great job saving it, but I think we're going to see 3 wide on the bottom.
Yeah, Arnie, 4 wide.
That 42 is checked up, and then there is contact to the right rear. Nothing that Scherf could do to avoid that one. A couple other trucks involved as well.
Brett Adams in the 23 was involved in that. They were 4 wide for a reason there, and it just did not work out. By the way, at the moment of caution, Mark Kalen was your leader. As the clock ticks down now, Cade, I bet we're under about, 4.5 minutes before we go racing again. As we see here, the Lotus Dynamic Design truck in the 62 up front here. This is getting kind of crazy as far as how this is working out here. And if you're Mark, you're kind of hoping for one more quick caution so you can seal this victory.
Yeah, I think we're going to restart with a little bit under 4 minutes to go. So one more caution would get us to maybe 1 minute. It'd be a 2-lap shootout. And Kalen's got a good shot to hold on. We noticed on the last restart he had a little bit of a difficult time getting up through the gears on those older tires. But if he can have a better restart this time, he's going to have clean air. He's going to have track position. And yeah, I don't know if we're done seeing cautions for the night. And if that comes out, Mark Kalen might have found himself in the catbird seat.
He might. You saw Jamie Graham got the free pass. He went on around there. That'll put Jamie Graham back in the lead lap. So that'll put us at 30 trucks on the lead lap. So listen, the product of this style of racing, Cade, that means there's 30 eligible winners on a super speedway.
I think it's really easy to think that, but where you're sitting right now, again, restarting with about 4 minutes to go, everybody outside the top 10 is definitely a long shot. Not saying that it can't happen, but right here, I think the only guys that are really going to be able to position themselves are in your first 5 rows. If you can get a run on the outside, we might be able to make that third lane work. But it's going to not have a whole lot of time to form up, so we'll see.
I mean, those guys in the back are just one wreck away for being up front. You never know. That's the weirdness that is super speedway racing, even at Echopark. So it's Kalen up front, then Zachary Burnt, Steve Loving your top 3, Baker and Holly your top 5, then Bumgarner, Walter, Morgan, Knight, and Williams your top 10. So a couple stories to look out for. Mark Kalen won on a super speedway in the first ever Premier Sim Racing race last year. He won the very first series opener race, so he's known to do well at these tracks. Of course, then you got Burnt and some of the guys looking for a first win. Bradley Holly, an all-time winner in league racing and iRacing, over 300 wins in league racing career-wise. So obviously knows how to get to the front. Then you got James Morgan. Morgan trying to get back to success in Premier Sim Racing. Had a great run at it a couple years ago. And then this last season just did not perform the way he wanted to. So he's trying to get back up front. And remember, him and his teammate Jacob Dunn are known to win the super speedway races in PSR. So last week Jacob Dunn did it in the 3. I wonder if the 12 could keep the streak alive. So many questions, so many stories, so many things to follow, but so few minutes on the clock.
And this is that point in time where if you've had a drafting partner, or, you've had a lane that you've liked, you kind of got to throw that out the window. Now you got to go out and drive for yourself. If you got to put somebody else in a bad spot to make that happen, this is what you got to do. If you got to go 3 wide, if you got to go 4 wide to try to gain a couple of extra positions, this is now the opportunity where you have to take those risks and have to make it happen. So we'll see what they have. Kalen again on those old tires. Zachary Burnt right now the first one with fresh rubber. Steve Baker going to be the one pushing Mark Kalen. So if that 62 spins the wheels, he's going to have to be the quick one to react.
And remember, Kalen chose the top lane here as the leader. So he got lane choice and he picked that. Of note, if we have a caution, PSR will do everything possible to throw a quick yellow and get us back racing again. There's no guarantees. 3 minutes on the clock. Does this end the race? It likely does. Here's the green flag. Here's Kalen stepping in the pedal. And here we are racing one more time at Echopark. Boy, a big jump from Mark Kalen. A big bump from Steve Baker. These two are up front quickly here, Cade. And I think they're going to pull to the bottom slowly. Nope, they're not. They're going to stick right in the middle of the pack.
It's going to be up to them where they want to go, but there's a little bit of a gap between that second and third place cars. I see Bumgarner giving a good push to Burnt on the inside. Excuse me, that's Loving giving a shot to the rear bumper of that 28 truck. As they get rolling, they're going to have some momentum. There's the block from Baker. That is Burnt has the opportunity to go to the outside. Instead, he's going to stick with the 2 truck, hold to the inside, and he's going to be able to draw even with Mark Kalen. Now here comes a run from Bumgarner on the outside.
There's a Morgan pushing Bumgarner. There's the 6, I believe, pushing Morgan. This is getting tight. 2 minutes on the clock. Steve Baker leading for the first time tonight. Does Zachary Burnt make the move? Does Kalen get back up front? 2 minutes to decide it here at Echopark.
There was a really good push on the outside, but I think Kalen slipped up a little bit on corner entry. Not sure if that was because of those tires or just a driver thing. Now, here is a move from Bumgarner. He wants to get around him 3 wide. That is the 99 truck of Brandon Walter. They're going to be throwing it into the wall. Hard James Morgan, still green.
Oh, 25 is spinning.
25.
Caution. That's going to end the race. There's no way we go green again. That is definitely the race. And Walter's still back. Holy crap. That's Brandon Walter went around. And this is going to create chaos in the standings. Wow. This is going to create some chaos and some questions. But Steve Baker is going to be your winner in this race, Cade.
Yeah, it looks like 1 minute to go as they come around. We're going to take a look. This is where it all started. 3 wide with Walter on the bottom. And that 12 truck just didn't give him a whole lot of room to operate with. 3 wide. You've got to run the very top, and made some contact. And then the wrecks continued to happen. They wrecked after the yellow came out. So
Brandon Walter is upset. I'll tell you that. Brandon Walter is upset. He wants his spot back, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. Watch the rest of the wreck here. It's going to happen. There's a tap in the back. Someone got in the apron, and it just kind of kept going and going and going. This I get, but watch the next wreck with Brandon Walter. This is the one that Walter's upset about. We'll see in a second. Because he says that's post-caution, and he wants his spot back, and he's still asking.
According to official NASCAR rules, the field is frozen when the caution comes out, but you have to be able to maintain caution speed. So if the 99 truck was so damaged that he was not able to maintain pace speed, it was a bump from
someone who got in the back of Holly, I think, and the Holly came over, I believe.
I think it was Holly actually gave a shot to Dunn, I believe, was the truck in front of him. And somebody got turned into the right rear of Brandon Walker. It was not.
So here's Holly. It's the Prophet Python truck. Got in the back of Holly. Holly got in the Walter, and Walter is in the back. So the race controller said they'll look at it post-race. I mean, it's not going to affect our podium as far as we're concerned from there, but there'll definitely be some post-race reviews. White flag is out. Steve Baker leads around. Here's Jacob Dunn. Watch his run through, see what's going to happen here. Dunn, of course, won last week at Daytona. Yellow's out. Nice. Little tap to Teddy. And overall, not a bad run. Got it checked up properly for Jacob Dunn. Well, for the first time this season, as we're only 2 races in, we'll have 2 different race winners. Last week, Jacob Dunn pulled out the improbable and won at Daytona. This week, the Solpeck car is going to win, and the number 2 will be in P number 1. Congrats to Steve Baker. He will now be a victor in 2026 in the Premier Sim Racing Outlap Motorsports Truck Series, a winner at the Echopark Speedway. And boy, Cade, when you're winning like this, it's a happy celebration, but it's the longest pace lap of your life waiting for this to wrap up here and officially take the checkered flag.
Nah, it gives him a lot of times to think about the celebration, though. It kind of gives you a nice opportunity to think about the race. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be super happy. Like you said, first win of the season. Get building momentum. You know, it's a long year, and getting that first win out of the way gets the monkey off the back, and hopefully he'll be able to go grab a couple more. He's going to be thinking about that. We should have our interviews set up pretty soon with our podium, and he'll be one of the drivers that we can ask about that with. So we'll definitely see. Right now, everybody looks like they're going to congratulate him on that win, and probably pull off the track. I don't really know, though. A little bit of contact there.
No, most of them get off track here. They'll give him his moment. But a quick shout-out, Mark Kalin. We questioned that nose tire call. He's going to finish P3, by the way. So we'll go through results in just a second. And some people are just having some fun kind of messing around here. But there you go. Let's go and take a look at our unofficial results. Our unofficial race control said they're going to look at it and make some determinations on running order. Steve Baker's going to come in first, by the way. He'll beat Zachary Burnt and Mark Kalin for top 3. Then Steve Loving and Daniel Knight in your top 5. And then it's Williams, Lane, Sink, Holly, and Lowendick in your top 10.
And just behind them, Matt Gagnon, Jeff Evans, Jacob Dunn, Mike Toomer Jr., Nick Hunter rounding out the top 15, Elliott White 16th, David Duino 17th with Alexi Vigeant, managed to recover to 18th, Acosta and Tepp rounding out the top 20.
Then back in the P21's Nick Byer with these trucks, by the way, 1 or more laps down. Stacy Hunter's in P22, Jamie Graham, Nicholas Cadena, and James Morgan back in P25. Then it's Brandon Walter for the moment back there in 26. 27's Justin Rodden, Brett Pancari, Tyler Manning, and Dustin Bumgarner round out your top 30.
trucks are rounding out 31st. These are trucks who were more than 2 laps down when that last lap caution came out. Those incidents there: Barney, Brennan, Williams, Adams, Scherf, the other Adams, Richter, Bouge, Lawrence, and Schwartz, rounding out your 40-car field.
And that's a look top to bottom at tonight's unofficial results. Well, we keep using the word unofficial, but I do know what is official is the winner of this race, and his name is Steve Baker. And Steve, for the first time this year in PSR, you are a winner. How does that feel?
Hey guys, sorry, I just took a nasty hit on the track. Man, it's awesome. I did not expect that after getting shuffled to the back there mid-race, and had to fight back from like 30 something. So I used to love the old Atlanta, and I hate this one, so it makes sense that I would get my first win here.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe you love it a little bit more now that you've won a race here. So that last restart, you found your way around Mark Kalin to give him a tremendous push on the restart there. Was that the plan all along? Was just to find an opening and go?
Yeah, lucked out that Mark got the lead and was able to control that restart there. That was super helpful. And then yeah, just the plan was to push us both out front and you know, try and control it to the end, and then we got the yellow to wrap it up. So I think just there at the end, I had a little bit newer tires, was able to hold the bottom a little bit more. So.
All right. Well, next week, the question mark, the wild card, the whatever you want to call it, we're into Long Beach. How do you feel about that? And what's your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, normally I'm a huge fan of Long Beach. I have not run a NASCAR car there, but I like Chicago as well in the NASCAR stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. It will be tight, not a lot of racing room there for sure. So mostly just trying to keep the car clean and bring it home in one piece with all the walls.
All right. Well, congrats once again on the win tonight. Anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out Soulpack Precision Racing, my teammates out there, and everybody who comes out to race, who puts this on, and all the admins and you guys for the broadcast. Appreciate it.
All right, Steve, once again, congrats on the win. A pleasure watching your race, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
That is Steve Baker, winner tonight here at Echopark. Well, the man who finished P2 in the Tropicana machine is Zachary Burnt, and he has caught up with Cade Corbin.
Welcome to the booth, Zachary Burnt. I know you wanted one position more, but congratulations on that second place. Do you think you had anything for Steve Baker, or were you kind of just riding there right before that yellow came out?
I think I could have gave him a run for his money if I had another lap, but I was kind of just sitting behind him, hoping I could have got a shot, but that obviously the yellow came out, and that was that.
So I noticed this race runs time-wise rather than lap-wise. Is that something that plays into your mind a little bit differently when you're thinking of your plan? You know, you're restarting there with about 3 minutes to go, knowing that the race could end at any time if that yellow had come out. Did that make you want to be more aggressive on that short run? You know, what's the thought process there coming to the green?
Yeah, I definitely had thought that the yellow was going to come out there, so definitely was leaning more on the aggressive side, but still being kind of conservative. But either way, I think I was going to be aggressive there, especially running I think we were basically running top 5 the whole race. So
a very solid performance overall, not just on that last lap, but definitely good. You're able to finish it out, finish the race in one piece, unlike a couple of other trucks. So once again, congratulations. Before we let you go here, anybody you want to shout out?
yeah, I want to shout out my team, Regenboog Motorsports. I'd also like to shout out Steve Lovin for pushing me there at the end. That definitely helped me secure P2. And yeah.
We'll go celebrate this one. Good luck building momentum for the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
All right, that is Zachary Burnt, brought that Tropicana home machine number 2. Now the driver who finished P3, I think he knows some about tires that I don't know, because Mark Kalin, that's an improbable run. The no tire call paid off. Are you as surprised as anyone that it paid off?
Very. I'm probably more surprised than you are, Derrick, because that was not my intention. So I'd gotten into a habit from earlier in the race of going in and topping off, being at the back, and unclicking my tires. Well, I guess I forgot to click them back on for that pit stop, and yeah, I didn't realize it until it was too late, and then I just made my bet at that point, and I had what I had.
So multiple cautions come out afterwards. That last caution, you're leading. You got the push from Steve Baker behind. What was in your head? Were you just hoping he was going to push all the way? Were you trying to make a block? What was going on?
Well, we had discussed it prior to the restart. He said he would push me, at least initially, so we did plan on that. And then I was just trying to kind of stay in front of him without blocking too heavily, because I knew I was on older tires, so he'd probably have a better advantage as far as maneuverability. But I until he got around me, I couldn't tell if he was trying to make a pass or wanting me to come down in front of him or go up in front of him or whatever. Once he went under me, I just I'm just gonna stay up here, and whatever happens happens. And hey, I'll take a P3 out of that. I probably shouldn't have been there to begin with, and I probably wouldn't have been had there not been any yellows. So, the racing gods have smiled on me this evening. I'll take it.
Well, speaking of the racing gods smiling, I'm not sure about next week. We're taking the NASCAR trucks to Long Beach. Now, you're yourself a accomplished road course racer. You've won some special events. But how concerned are you about taking these trucks to Long Beach? Do you think we make it through the fountain?
I feel pretty decent about Long Beach and the trucks.
Okay.
For me personally. Confidence-wise about making it past the fountain, not so much.
Yeah.
I'd say probably from 10th on back, it's just going to be chaotic checkups, and every truck for themselves. It's just going to be crazy, I feel like. So if you have a camera fixed on the fountain like that, keep it there for the entire first lap, at least while the trucks are going through, and you'll probably get a couple of good laughs out of it.
So I'll ask you, I'm going to put you in a spot here as a PSR admin. The rule exists in the rule book that we only put out a full crest yellow on road courses if absolutely necessary. It's never happened. It's never happened in PSR. It's never happened in a predecessor. Is next week at the fountain your best chance of seeing a full course yellow in a road race?
Well, I would typically say yes, like we have in the past. I think we've said the same thing about Chicago Street Course. We said the same thing about, I forget what the other road course that's really
Lime Rock
narrow.
last week, I think. Lime Rock is in front of me.
Maybe,
Coda?
yeah, maybe Lime Rock. Coda, not so much. Coda has a lot of runoff, so not necessarily there, but
Willow Springs was an exciting one.
yeah, Willow Springs was good, but yeah, with the narrowness of the track and walls with no runoffs, really, your best chances of a track blockage are at these type of facilities like Long Beach. So I'd say it's probably I'm gonna give it a 65-70% chance that it does happen. But we've managed to skate through in the past, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens either. I mean, I don't know, it's like rolling the dice in a craps table.
See, what we did here is we took the commentator curse and we put it on you. So if this happens next week, it's on you. So I'm going to point that out. Well, Mark, it's always a pleasure talking. Anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
Absolutely. I want to give a shout out first and foremost to my wife and my parents for always tuning in and supporting my addictions. I want to thank you guys up in the broadcast booth, as always, you and Dustin, and whoever your second commentator is each week. They always do such a great job up there, putting everything together up there. I want to thank my sponsor, Lotus Dynamic Designs, for continuing to support my my racing and cheering me on each week. And then lastly, all the admins that help put on the league.
Well, congrats on P3, and we'll see you next week at Long Beach.
All right. Thank you, Derrick. Y'all have a good one.
All right, that is Mark Kalin. That will wrap up our podium interviews for the evening. Cade, briefly, thoughts on the race tonight?
I think it was pretty standard Atlanta shenanigans. There was predominantly two lanes, but you could, make a 3-wide move. That led to a little bit of carnage, and then at the end, having that race kind of end with a short sprint and a little bit of strategy. Not too much surprises there, but still very, very exciting. And we saw, fantastic stories there with the winners and the podiums and everybody getting squared away. So I'm a sucker for speedway racing. I'm a sucker for trucks at New Atlanta. So, sorry, Echopark. I'm glad that it put on a show.
Got to put on a show as well. Speaking of shows, after this show, we're going to take you right over to our post-show coverage of the Beer League. You saw a brief preview of it earlier, and they are running there. But speaking of the shows, next week's show, we talked about it in this interview process, will be at Long Beach. 1 week from tonight, February 25th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Hey, if I'm lucky, Evan Posocco will take his seat back here in the Outlap broadcast booth. Once again, I want to say congrats to Steve Baker on the win tonight. And I want to thank Dustin, Ollis, and Cade Corbin for their help in the broadcast. I am Derrick Watson. By the way, if you missed this race, you can catch this race and every race from the Premier Sim Racing Outlap Motorsports Truck Series here on Green Flag TV. That said, so long and good night from Hotlanta.